On the fifth day of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the war of words has moved up a gear with accusations of lies, genocide and comparisons to World War II. Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia on the Belarusian border have ended. Officials will return to their capitals for further consultations before returning for a second round of discussions. Here is the latest. Ukraine's leader hoped the talks in Belarus would establish a ceasefire and get Russia to withdraw its forces. Neither president was present for the talks, instead sending delegations. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has appealed to the European Union to allow Ukraine to gain membership under a special procedure as Russian troops close in on Kiev, and that has been something that Vladimir Putin has never wanted. There has been another significant battle in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, where Ukraine officials report dozens of people have been killed and hundreds injured in rocket strikes by Russian forces. While Kharkiv seems to be a significant target, there is a sense that the fight is getting closer to Kiev. These are live pictures from the capital. It is approaching 9 p.m. now. The curfew in the city has now lifted, but blasts and bombings are increasing. Russian forces are still facing significant resistance from Ukraine's civilians and its troops. The United Nations General Assembly has met in a rare emergency session to discuss the crisis. That's the first of its kind in 40 years. The Russian and Ukrainian envoys to the United Nations shared harsh words, with Russia blaming the West for hostilities. Russia has faced more global consequences for its invasion. Switzerland has broken its neutrality, announcing it will follow the EU with sanctions. Oil giant Shell has announced that it will exit all joint operations in Russia and will end its involvement in the Nord Stream 2 pipeline project. FIFA and UEFA have banned Russian national football teams and professional clubs from all of its competitions. And the IOC has recommended all international sport organisations boycott Russia and Belarus and exclude participation of Russian and Belarusian athletes at all events.
It had been an unexpectedly quiet night in Kiev, but for many it meant yet another spent underground to keep safe, including in the basement of this hospital. Young patients unable to be moved, still being treated in a capital city caught up in a war. Once the curfew was lifted this morning, people emerged and queued ready to restock supplies beneath an apartment block which had taken a direct hit. On the border with Belarus, a Ukrainian delegation held talks with Russian counterparts. They've ended for now, with both sides returning to their respective capitals to consider what had happened before further discussions in coming days. The meeting followed a morning which saw Ukraine's second city of Kharkiv hit hard, attacked with what's thought to be cluster bombs and a barrage of rocket strikes, said to have left dozens dead and hundreds more wounded. But no one holds out much hope of peace, and the Russian president is as defiant as ever, furious at sanctions imposed by the UK, EU and US that are already taking their toll.
I gathered you to speak on the economic and financial issues that we had been discussing, naturally bearing in mind the sanctions that the so-called Western community, as I called it in my speech, the empire of lies, is now trying to implement against our country.
The Ukrainian troops are ready for the next onslaught. There have been promises of additional weapons from the West, but Ukraine's president is demanding more.
We asked the European Union to admit Ukraine immediately under a new special procedure. We are grateful to our partners for fighting with us, but our goal is to be together with all Europeans, and the main thing, to be on equal terms. I'm convinced that this is just. I am certain that we have earned this. I am certain that all this is possible.
And this afternoon, photographs were posted on the president's Instagram account, said to show a signed application for Ukraine's membership to the European Union. This morning, EU defence ministers held a virtual meeting to discuss the crisis and finished with a decisive message about the Russian aggression.
The world cannot afford that a powerful country smashes the neighbor using its military capacities. If we allow to it, it's the law of the jungle. It's the law of the stronger. I am stronger than you, and I kill you. I impose you my law. It's the law of the jungle, and this, for us Europeans, is an existential threat. And we'll do everything we can in order to stop it.
Among those caught up in this conflict, a young girl in her last year of primary school in Kiev. Polina and her parents are reported to have been shot dead by Russians. Her brother and sister left wounded. On a road heading to the capital, Russian armour is parked up en masse, ready to continue the offensive. And reports that the army is in places disorganised and in disarray will be welcomed by the Ukrainians. But their aggressor keeps proving its might. Here, what appears to be a shopping centre on fire in the northern city of Chernihiv, which has seen heavy fighting. And in Borodyanka, to the northwest of Kiev, a powerful blast was caught on camera from an apartment as a Russian tank rolled by. All of this against a backdrop of the decision by Putin to put his nuclear deterrent forces on high alert, raising the stakes even further. It's a waiting game now, but it's feared it won't be long before the fighting resumes in earnest. Emma Birchley, Sky News.